Hello everyone, welcome back to Fluent English. We're so happy you're here with us today. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the community. And if you're a returning listener, thank you for spending part of your day with us.
Hey everyone, it's great to be back. I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you're listening from. Maybe you're driving to work, taking a walk, studying English, or just relaxing at home.
You know, today's topic is something I wish I had learned much earlier. When many English learners start speaking, they use one phrase again and again. I think. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. It's correct English. But after a while, it starts to sound repetitive.
That's right, native speakers use I think sometimes, but they also use many other expressions to share opinions, ideas, and beliefs. Using different phrases can make your English sound more natural, confident, and fluent.
By the end of today's episode, you'll know several easy alternatives to I think. You'll learn when to use them, how they're different, and how Americans often use them in everyday conversations.
And here's a question for you. What's one phrase you use all the time in English? Is it I think? Is it maybe? Is it very? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. And if you're enjoying Fluent English, don't forget to like this episode, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who's learning English too.
All right, grab a notebook if you'd like, get ready to practice, and let's jump into today's lesson.
Let's begin with the most important idea. The goal isn't to stop using I think completely. The goal is to have more choices. Native speakers often choose different phrases depending on confidence, tone, and situation.
Exactly. Think of I think as one tool in a toolbox. Today we're adding several more useful tools that will help you sound more natural.
Here's our first phrase, I believe. The structure is simple, subject plus believe plus statement. For example, I believe this restaurant is the best in town. I believe we should leave earlier. I believe she's right.
Let me give you a few more examples. I believe this movie deserves more attention. I believe learning English every day makes a huge difference. I believe the weather will improve tomorrow. I believe this is the right decision. Notice that these examples sound a little stronger than I think.
That's a great point. When I say, I think this restaurant is good, it sounds like a casual opinion. But when I say, I believe this restaurant is good, it sounds more confident and more personal.
Here's a question for you. Which sentence sounds stronger? I think exercise is important. Or, I believe exercise is important. Most people would say the second one sounds stronger.
Exactly. Now let's move to another common phrase, in my opinion. The structure is, in my opinion plus statement. For example, in my opinion, this book is excellent. In my opinion, online classes are very convenient.
Here are some more examples. In my opinion, summer is the best season. In my opinion, learning through podcasts is very effective. In my opinion, that was a smart decision. This phrase is especially useful when discussing ideas with other people.
Imagine you're talking with friends about movies. One friend says, that movie was boring. You can say, in my opinion, it was actually pretty interesting. That's a natural way to express disagreement politely.
Now let's learn another phrase Americans use all the time. I feel like. The structure is, I feel like plus statement. Examples. I feel like we're missing something. I feel like this plan could work. I feel like she's upset.
This one is very common in everyday conversation. You'll hear it everywhere. Sometimes native speakers say, I feel like, even when they're talking about an opinion, not a feeling. For example, I feel like this coffee tastes better. I feel like we need more time.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever watched an American TV show and heard someone say, I feel like? If yes, write I feel like in the comments and create your own example sentence.
Great practice idea. Now let's compare the three phrases we've learned. I think is neutral. I believe sounds stronger. In my opinion sounds clear and organized. I feel like sounds conversational and informal.
Let's practice together. If your friend asks, how was the restaurant? You could answer, I believe it's one of the best restaurants in town. In my opinion, the food was excellent. I feel like the service could have been faster.
Notice how each answer has a slightly different feeling. That's what makes your English sound more natural. You're choosing the expression that matches your meaning.
Now let's talk about negative forms. You can say, I don't believe that's true. I don't feel like that's the best option. In my opinion, that's not necessary. These forms are useful when you disagree politely.
And that's important. In many situations, especially professional ones, being polite matters just as much as being correct. Instead of saying, you're wrong, you could say, I don't believe that's correct. Or in my opinion, there's another way to look at it.
Can you create your own example? Try completing these sentences out loud. I believe. In my opinion. I feel like. Don't just think about the answer. Say it aloud.
Speaking out loud helps your brain build real speaking habits. The more you practice, the more natural these phrases will become.
Let's do one final review before moving on. I believe shows stronger confidence. In my opinion clearly introduces an opinion. I feel like sounds casual and conversational. And all three are great alternatives to saying I think every single time. That's the foundation. Once you're comfortable with these expressions, you'll immediately sound more natural in everyday English conversations.
Now that we've learned some simple alternatives to I think, let's take things a step further. Native speakers don't just replace I think with one or two phrases. They choose different expressions depending on how certain they are, how formal the situation is, and what kind of opinion they're sharing.
Exactly, and that's where today's next group of phrases comes in. These expressions help you sound more nuanced. In other words, they help you express different levels of confidence.
Let's start with the phrase I guess. The structure is simple, I guess plus statement. For example, I guess we should leave now, I guess that's true, I guess it depends.
This phrase is very common in casual American English. It usually means you're not completely sure. For example, I guess the meeting starts at 9. I guess she'll be here soon. I guess that's the best option.
Notice the difference. If I say, I believe she'll be here soon, I sound confident. If I say, I guess she'll be here soon, I sound less certain.
That's a great comparison. Now let's learn another useful phrase. It seems to me. The structure is, it seems to me plus statement examples. It seems to me that this project is going well. It seems to me that he's tired. It seems to me that we're making progress.
This phrase is a little more formal than I feel like. You'll hear it in professional conversations, discussions, and sometimes in presentations. For example, it seems to me that customers prefer faster service. It seems to me that this solution is more efficient.
Let's compare formal and informal usage. Informal, I feel like this plan is better. More formal, it seems to me that this plan is better. Both are correct. The choice depends on the situation.
Here's another phrase Americans use often. As far as I'm concerned. The structure is, as far as I'm concerned plus statement. For example, as far as I'm concerned, the job is finished. As far as I'm concerned, that's a great idea. As far as I'm concerned, everyone did their best.
This phrase sounds strong and confident. It's like saying, from my point of view, or according to my opinion.
Let's put these phrases into a real-life situation. Imagine we're choosing a restaurant.
I guess the Italian restaurant looks good.
It seems to me that the Mexican restaurant has better reviews.
As far as I'm concerned, either one is fine because I'm hungry.
That's probably the most realistic answer.
It usually is.
Now let's do a quick practice activity. I'm going to give a situation. Try to choose the best phrase. Situation 1, you're not completely sure. Would you say, I believe, or I guess?
The answer is I guess. Remember, I guess shows uncertainty.
Situation 2, you're sharing a professional opinion in a meeting. Would you say, it seems to me, or I feel like?
Usually, it seems to me, sounds more professional.
Great, now here are 3 important tips. First, match the phrase to your confidence level. Use I believe when you're confident. Use I guess when you're unsure.
Second, match the phrase to the situation. Informal conversation, I feel like. Professional discussion, it seems to me.
Third, vary your language. Don't repeat the same phrase every time. The more variety you use, the more natural you sound.
And we'd love to see your examples. Write one sentence using I guess and one sentence using it seems to me in the comments.
That's excellent practice, because you're creating your own language, instead of only repeating ours.
Let's review the key ideas from this section. I guess expresses uncertainty. It seems to me sounds thoughtful and often more formal. As far as I'm concerned, expresses a strong personal viewpoint. Using these phrases helps you communicate with more precision and confidence.
All right, let's move into another area where native speakers rarely use only I think. This section is all about making suggestions, predictions, and observations naturally.
That's right, sometimes you're not simply giving an opinion. You're predicting something, noticing something, or suggesting an idea. And native speakers often use completely different phrases.
Let's start with I'd say. The structure is, I'd say plus statement examples. I'd say this is our best option. I'd say he's about 30 years old. I'd say we're almost finished.
This phrase is extremely common. It sounds friendly and confident without sounding too strong. For example, someone asks, "How difficult is this class?" You could answer, "I'd say it's intermediate level."
That's much more natural than repeating, I think, again and again. Now let's learn another phrase. From what I've seen. The structure is, from what I've seen plus statement examples. From what I've seen, the company is growing quickly. From what I've seen, she's a great manager. From what I've seen, this method works well.
I love this phrase because it explains where your opinion comes from. You're not just giving an opinion, you're giving evidence.
Exactly. Now let's look at. My impression is. The structure is. My impression is plus statement examples. My impression is that the team works well together. My impression is that he enjoys his job. My impression is that customers are happy.
This phrase sounds polite and professional. It leaves room for other opinions while still sharing your own.
That's a very important cultural point. In many English-speaking workplaces, people often soften opinions to sound cooperative. Instead of saying, "This is true," they might say, "My impression is that this is true."
Let's hear these phrases in context.
How's your new gym?
I'd say it's worth the money.
How's your new manager?
From what I've seen, she's very supportive.
What do you think about the company culture?
My impression is that people enjoy working there.
Notice how natural that sounds.
It really does. Now let's talk about tone. Your words matter, but your delivery matters too. If you say, "I believe this is wrong," that sounds very strong.
But if you say, "My impression is that there may be another solution," you sound calm, professional, and collaborative.
Here's a practical speaking exercise. Imagine your friend asks, "Should I buy this phone?" Try answering with, "I'd say, from what I've seen, my impression is." Speak your answers out loud.
I'll give some sample responses. I'd say it's a good value for the price. From what I've seen, people are happy with it. My impression is that it's reliable.
Great examples, and remember, speaking out loud is one of the fastest ways to improve fluency.
Before we finish this section, here's another challenge. Write one sentence in the comments using "I'd say," then write another using "from what I've seen." Real practice creates real progress.
Let's do one final review. I'd say is friendly and natural. From what I've seen explains the source of your opinion. My impression is sounds professional and polite. Together, these phrases help you sound much more like a native speaker and give you far more options than simply saying, "I think," every time.
Now it's time for one of my favorite parts of every lesson, common mistakes. The good news is that these mistakes are completely normal. In fact, almost every English learner makes them at some point.
Absolutely. And honestly, even advanced learners sometimes fall into these habits because they're comfortable using the same phrase again and again.
Let's look at mistake number 1. Using "I think" in every sentence. For example, "I think this movie is good." "I think the actors are great." "I think the story is interesting." "I think the ending is perfect."
Grammatically, that's correct, but it sounds repetitive. A better version would be, "I think this movie is good. The actors are great. In my opinion, the story is interesting. I'd say the ending is perfect."
Variety makes your English sound more natural and more confident. Native speakers usually mix different expressions without even thinking about it.
Mistake number 2, using strong phrases when you're actually unsure. For example, "I believe the train arrives at 8 o'clock, but you're not really sure."
That's right. If you're guessing, a better choice would be, "I guess the train arrives at 8 o'clock, or I think the train arrives at 8 o'clock. The phrase should match your level of certainty.
Here's a simple rule: strong confidence, use phrases like "I believe." As far as I'm concerned, moderate confidence, use phrases like "I think." I'd say, less confidence, use phrases like "I guess." It seems to me.
Mistake number 3. Using very direct opinions in situations where softer language is better. For example, "Your idea is wrong."
Ouch, that's pretty direct. A more natural alternative could be, "I don't believe that's correct." Or, "My impression is that there may be another solution." Or, "It seems to me that there's a different way to approach this."
Notice how those alternatives sound more polite. Especially in workplaces, meetings, and professional conversations, softer language is often preferred.
Mistake number 4, using formal phrases in very casual situations. Imagine your friend asks, "Do you like this pizza?" And you answer, As far as I'm concerned, this pizza represents an excellent culinary achievement.
That's technically English, but it sounds like you're giving a speech at a pizza conference.
Exactly, a native speaker would probably say it's great. I like it. I'd say it's pretty good. I feel like it's one of the best pizzas I've had.
The lesson here is simple. Match your language to the situation. Casual conversations usually need casual expressions.
Let's practice each mistake type. For mistake 1, replace one I think with another phrase. For mistake 2, decide whether you're confident or uncertain. Choose the phrase that matches.
For mistake 3, try softening a direct opinion. Instead of saying, that's wrong, try, I don't believe that's correct.
For mistake 4, think about your audience. Are you talking to a friend, a teacher, a customer, a manager? Adjust your language accordingly.
And remember, mistakes are part of learning. Every fluent speaker you've ever met has made thousands of mistakes. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress.
Exactly. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep experimenting with new expressions. That's how real improvement happens.
All right, let's finish today's lesson with a fun interactive activity. We're going to play Choose the Better Sentence. For each situation, think about your answer before we explain it.
And don't just think silently. Say your answer out loud if you can. Speaking practice is where the magic happens.
Situation 1. You're talking with friends about a new movie. Option A. I believe this movie is an outstanding cinematic masterpiece. Option B. I'd say this movie is pretty good, which sounds more natural.
Usually option B, it's conversational and relaxed. That's how many native speakers would speak in everyday situations.
Situation 2. You're presenting an idea during a work meeting. Option A. I feel like this strategy will increase sales. Option B. It seems to me that this strategy could increase sales.
Both are possible, but option B often sounds more professional. That's why it's usually the better choice in a business setting.
Situation 3. You're not sure about tomorrow's weather. Option A. I believe it will rain. Option B. I guess it might rain.
Option B is better because you're uncertain. Remember, your phrase should match your confidence level.
Situation 4. You're sharing an opinion during a discussion. Option A. In my opinion, online learning can be very effective. Option B. I think online learning can be very effective.
Both are correct. Option A sounds slightly more organized and deliberate. Option B sounds more casual.
Situation 5. Someone asks about a new restaurant you've visited. Option A. From what I've seen, the service is excellent. Option B. I think the service is excellent.
Both work, but option A provides more context and sounds a little more sophisticated.
Here's a challenge for you. Create your own opinion sentence using one of today's expressions. Write it in the comments. Maybe use, I'd say, I guess, in my opinion, my impression is, or from what I've seen.
And if you want an extra challenge, write 3 different sentences about the same topic using 3 different opinion phrases. That's excellent practice.
Remember, real conversations aren't about finding the perfect sentence. They're about communicating your ideas clearly and naturally.
Exactly, fluency grows through communication, not perfection.
Wow, we covered a lot today. Let's quickly review what you've learned. First, you discovered alternatives to I think, including I believe, in my opinion, and I feel like.
Then we explored additional ways to express opinions such as I guess, it seems to me, and as far as I'm concerned.
Finally, we learned more advanced and natural expressions like I'd say, from what I've seen, and my impression is.
Together, these phrases help you sound more natural, more flexible, and more confident in English conversations.
Remember, you don't need to use every phrase immediately. Choose 1 or 2 favorites and start using them this week. Then gradually add more expressions to your speaking.
Here's a final question for you. Which phrase from today's lesson are you most excited to use? Tell us in the comments. We'd genuinely love to know.
And if you found today's lesson helpful, please give this episode a like. Share it with a friend who's learning English, and subscribe to Fluent English so you never miss a new lesson.
Every week we're here to help you build confidence, improve your fluency, and sound more natural in real conversations.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every conversation is another step forward.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We appreciate every single one of you, and we're excited to continue learning together. See you next time.